Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tatum Show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Like I say every day, it's just crazy. This stuff is out of control. We're going to talk about Mark Sanchez, who got arrested for after getting stabbed. We're going to talk about the Chicago nonsense and that police dispatch call that you guys heard that's going viral. Don Lemonhead is out of control. We're going to start with our story about Turning Point addressing the emails or the text messages that were leaked from Candace Owens. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Hold the phone.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning big, you might as well go on today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I want to address the text messages that were leaked. And I'm going to be honest. You got to give some credit to Candace Owens for bringing receipts from what she said. I don't like that the text messages were released. But let me just add this, because Andrew in the podcast said that this was the screenshot that he took and disseminated to other people, which somehow this got in the hands of Candace Owens, and Candace Owens put it out on the internet. So it doesn't appear that this somehow came from Candace initially getting into the system and finding this stuff. It came from Andrew, who screenshotted this and sent it to somebody that ended up getting in the hands of Candace Owens. Or maybe he sent it to her directly. I don't really know. But let me give my thoughts on the existence of the text message, what I think. And then we're going to get to Andrew Kovit's response of the text message. And I want to play Rob McCoy's statement as well. I do not like this drama because Charlie Kirk cannot defend himself. He's dead. So whether he liked Israel, didn't like Israel, whether he was going left, right, down the middle, none of it matters because he cannot defend himself and he's no longer with us. So his strive to be in a certain position or take a political stance, it really is irrelevant at this point, unfortunately. And I don't like the leaking and screenshotting and sending information out on the internet into the ether, simply because a private message is a private message. And if a person who was on the private message wanted to be public, that person would have made it public. And unfortunately, when you die, you don't have a choice to make it public or private. So that's why I think it should remain private. Does this have anything to do with who killed Charlie? No. So any effort, in my opinion, to promote this as a thing or promote this as important is literally spitting on Charlie's grave, in my personal opinion. We shouldn't be wasting our time talking about stuff like this. But since it's out there, I got to say something about it. OK. So let's get to the context of what it says here. It appears that Charlie Kirk in his message says that, and this is authenticated. It's an authentic message. So this is not somebody didn't fabricate this. This is what was said. Now, I don't think it has all the context because clearly it is just a few exchanges. Where's the rest of the messages at? Right. So what it says here, it says just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker Carlson. Let me address that real quick. I disagree with anybody that says that it was a problem that a Jewish donor decided to go in a different direction with their money after having an anti-Semite on stage at Charlie Kirk at Turning Point events. This is not about if Charlie liked the guy or not. He could be friends with the guy all he wants. But when he's spewing anti-Semitism on stage and literally taking the next generation of young people in a bad direction, making them hate the government, making them question everything the government does, that's a problem. That's not what we need for the next generation. So if you are a donor and you're giving $2 million a year and you got somebody on stage like this that's antithetical to the organization that you're supporting, I don't see there be a problem whatsoever with saying, well, I'm not spending my money in this way. And I don't know why anybody would get upset with that. Just find donors that want to do what you want them to do. Why would you get mad at donors who don't want to do the things that you said you were going to do for them? I'm my own man. I do all my own stuff. This is all my money going. So nobody can tell me nothing. And I ain't taking no money for nobody to tell me nothing. But if I were to say, well, let's have an investment or investors. And an investor says, okay, Brandon, I really like what you're doing, man. I like how you stand up for Israel. I like what you do for law enforcement. I like how you're conservative. And I want to give you $2 million a year for the next 5 years to help you build your platform and help you build your company. And then year 2, I start platforming people who are anti-Semitic. I start giving credence to people who are saying things that are antithetical to the mission in which the donor started or the investor started with me on. And investors say, look, man, I don't want to invest in this anymore. Why am I going to get mad at them? Well, don't invest with me. I'll find another investor that believe in what I want to do now. Then it goes on, and Charlie Kirk says the key point that I think everybody is honing in on, and that's that it leaves me no choice but to leave the pro-Israeli cause. Now, let me tell you what it don't say. This does not say that Charlie Kirk don't support Israel anymore. It's saying that he's not going to put his neck out there and take the arrows that are coming his way, standing up for Israel and making it the main thing of what he's saying when he's defending Israel on campus all around the country. Now, I'm going to give my 2 cents. There is no donor. There is no pro-Israeli person that's going to make me change my position on supporting Israel because it's biblical. Unless the Bible change, I will never change my support for the state of Israel and its existence. I don't have to like anything Benjamin Netanyahu does, although I think that what he's doing in the war is reasonable. I don't agree with everything he's doing. I think he should have finished the job 2 years ago. Now, of course, it's easy for me to say sitting behind my desk in the United States of America versus being the president or prime minister of a major country that's in the middle of conflict with just about everybody that's around. I will never change my stance. I don't care how much backlash y'all do. I don't care how much $7,000 messages y'all put in the chat. I laugh every time you put that in the chat. Do you think that bothers me that you say I'm getting paid $7,000? I don't bother me because ain't nobody paying me nothing. And to be honest, if they wanted to pay me to say stuff I'm already saying, where can I find that check? I'm going to give a bonus to every single person that worked for me every $7,000 check I get. That's what I would do if they were to give me some money. They ain't giving no money. That's why I ain't got to be mad at nothing. Y'all can keep saying that old weirdo stuff. I'm going to keep growing. My company's going to keep growing. We're going to keep succeeding. The Lord is going to keep blessing. So why do I care what you're saying about me? Most of y'all sitting in your mama basement somewhere, mad at your life. That's why you still follow me. I'm looking at people online say all that stuff, and they still following me. Why you still following me? Why you still wasting your time out of your day instead of playing with your kids and I don't know, living your life, generating wealth or whatever you should be doing? You on my stuff texting me like I'll be reading it. 99% of y'all write that stuff. I ain't reading that. I'm too busy grinding and making it happen to reach your little retarded messages. Okay, let's go on to the clip of Andrew and what he had to say about the topic here. Roll it.
But I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic.
Time out. This is my problem with this. Because I didn't like that the text message was put out there. But then the question remains, in my personal opinion, is why does anybody need to be screenshotting and sending this out anyways? Potentially, this is how it got in the hands of Candace Owens to put out in the first place. So I think internally, nobody could be mad at the stuff getting out if internally the screenshots were happening there and disseminated anywhere. I think that was a big major flaw that happened with this text message scandal, is that it should have never been screenshotted in the first place and disseminated from anybody. But when you do that, it's in the hands of everybody now. And now the whole world can see these messages. That's just my 2 cent. Roll the clip.
And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange. And I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friend's trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently. But
keep going.
Here we are. So,
all right, there you go. There you go. All right, come on, Nick. Come on, Nick. All right, so so what would I say about this? I can see the naysayers coming out and saying this. And by the way, I love Andrew. I think he's one of the most authentic people I met. I love him to death. But this text message thread, screenshot, sent to government officials, why? What in it needs to be investigated? That's all I'm saying. What about this text message that needed to be investigated? Was it that somebody thought that they needed to investigate Jewish donors? Did somebody come out and think that they need to be investigated, that maybe, just maybe, Charlie Kirk's theology has something to do with him getting killed? Maybe, just maybe, is the text thread exposing certain people in the text thread that they need to be investigated? What does that even mean? I personally believe that, I don't know, it just makes things more complicated because people are saying, was there concerns about anything in the text? When I read the text, there's nothing really concerning that the government should know about or that the FBI should investigate personally. And no stone unturned, I understand that point, right? But it does implicate that is somebody thinking that Israel has something to do with it. If that's the case, then I want people to come out and say, we initially thought that Israel had something to do with it. That's why I did this. I just want people to just say it. Just say it. If you thought that, just say it. What's the part that hurts testimony and credibility and rumors get started is because people attempt to navigate things in a way where they don't say something, but they said something that they didn't want you to think that they said after they said something that they thought about saying when they didn't say it. That's where the problem comes in at. Personally, if I was on this side of the table and I thought that Israel had something to do with it, I would say initially I thought Israel had something to do with it, so I wanted the FBI to investigate that part because my friend comes before Israel. That's the easiest thing you can say. But what happens when people start going around like this because they don't want to say certain things, now it opens up a window and now the conspiracies come in. Well, did it? Well, he didn't say that he didn't say that he didn't say that he was going to say it. Finish it.
One of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but one of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care, we're not investigating every lead, we're not looking under every stone, and that somehow we're just like, sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it, and no stone unturned. I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that part alone, but I have more to say.
Yeah, so it has been so frustrating to have people blow up about this. Yeah. And I've certainly stated publicly, the reason I haven't weighed in on things is I am an eyewitness to events, and they've said, don't comment on things because anything you say can mess that up. I don't want to mess up any trial for the person who did this.
All right. We got one more clip after this, but related to it. But let me address that real quick because I think it's important to hear. He said, I was an eyewitness to something, and the FBI saying don't talk about it. Why? Because it may compromise the case. That is key. And this is why a lot of people at Turning Point ain't saying nothing. Because if you were a part of the investigation as a eyewitness or you have any leverage or any part of this investigation, you could screw the entire investigation up by running your mouth about things that are not privy in the public. I don't know how many times I got to say this. I want people to understand this clearly. When investigators are trying to get to the bottom of solving a crime, they cannot have people leaking and disclosing information that's only privy to the FBI or only somebody involved in the investigation would know. Why? Because when they have a suspect B and they bring him in and they start questioning him or her, when the person start divulging information, they can make a clear determination. Whoa. How does she know about the bag that was left in the alleyway? We never made that public. So that means only a person involved in this case would even know that information. But when you start disclosing information like it's going out of style to everybody in the country, they don't have a good enough way to interrogate a person because they don't know if that person authentically is involved and they know things or they heard it on the internet. And for everybody out here saying they're covering up. No, they cannot disclose everything they know. Do you want the case to be thrown out? Do you want the killer or potential killer of Charlie Kirk to get away scot-free on technicalities and inadmissible evidence in the investigation or in the court proceeding? Make your mind up. And I'm warning everybody that's out there that actually care about this case. If you don't care about Charlie, you don't care about this case, then do what you want to do. But if you care about Charlie, you care about this case, you care about justice, you need to stop putting information out there that could be compromising to this investigation. You could find yourself getting subpoenaed in the court as well. I said this on my last video. If you are out in the public domain saying that you're getting proprietary investigatory knowledge or information, that means you're talking to people that the FBI isn't talking to, or you're saying that a person called you and made a statement contrary to the statement that they made to the FBI, you are now a part of the investigation. The defense team wants you to come and testify that you heard this because the prosecution is saying, no, we heard this. You're going to find yourself being involved and subpoenaed in the court testifying on behalf of the defense because you want to put information out there premature to the court proceeding. Finish it. I wrote the next clip.
The people that he had shared history with, right? He was asked, I think this may be what you were about to say, Blake. He was asked about Candace before in public, and he would always say, listen, we're friends. He would never say an ill word about her. And if people, tried to force him to do that about Tucker or whatever, he would always be defiant because he didn't want to be morally blackmailed.
Exactly. Charlie was loyal to people who had ever been friends to him, whether it was very old donors or just people who had worked with Turning Point.
Yep.
And as long as they were not attacking him, he would not air any dirty laundry or, frankly, any disagreements he had with people. He did disagree with Candace on the Israel issue. He disagreed with Tucker on the Israel issue. But he also recognized Tucker had positions they agreed on. Tucker was a useful voice in the conservative movement on many things. And so he invited him to events, and they were popular events. And so he would react. Sometimes people would just say, yeah, don't invite him or we're going to, cut off some large donation. And that would make him angry. He would say this, as you say, this is moral blackmail. And he's this Scottish guy. He's combative. His reaction to that is, the classic screw me, no, screw you, that sort of thing.
He had, and it's one of my favorite parts about Charlie is just how defiant and independent he was.
Yeah,
he was never going to
be... He could not be controlled by other people.
You could not buy him, he was not bought and paid for. You could not control him with money. It just wasn't the way he was wired. He didn't actually care about money that much.
And so what's going on here? What is going on here, you guys can look up what the text say. What is going on is, Charlie, as I mentioned, he loved Israel, he cared about Israel, he cared about the Holy Land, and he was aware there was a surge of anti-Israel sentiment on the right. Charlie thought seriously about this issue and was trying to chart a path forward for people who were sympathetic to Israel. He was playing the good cop here. He was saying, you guys don't realize how bad it could potentially get. Mm-hmm. You have to change your PR. That's why he writes a letter to Bibi. You are losing the PR war. You need to change how you do your PR. You need to change your messaging to the American right. You might need to change what you expect from us, that you're not going to be able to count on just, for example, unlimited military aid from America. That's just not going to be tenable going forward. So maybe it has to be a more passive relationship. Maybe you need to give more support towards America. Some more support towards America in, for example, opposing Islamic migration into America. That's one thing he thought we could ally on. And he was trying to do all of this because he cared about the relationship and wanted to chart a way forward on it. And he would feel angry and upset when people would react to this by blowing up and suggesting he was an anti-Semite or a hater. He would get angry about that because he knew it was untrue. And then he would sometimes vent about this. Yeah. He would vent about this to people who understood that who are pro-Israel people who shared his view on that issue.
Well, exactly. And just why I, didn't share this publicly, it was because this was a private message between Charlie and some people, some Jews and non-Jews, where he was, frustrated. He was frustrated. And that would have felt like a betrayal to my friend because he never said anything like that publicly in like a show, right? He said things with Megan that were very, like we just played them. I went on Alex Clark's show and I felt like I did a faithful job of expressing what I believed his genuine feelings were.
Is that it? Okay, let me address this real quick and then we can move on. But I agree. I understand Charlie. Now, I want you guys to understand this. I disagree with Charlie's sentiment and behavior on this topic, but I understand him because he's 31 years old. Charlie has never in his life been unpopular amongst his peers. Now, amongst the naysayers, they always hated him because they just the haters. But amongst his peers, Charlie Kirk was spot on everything that he said, and everybody loved him, and everybody agreed with everything that he was saying. When you start to feel the pressure that people are turning on you, it make you feel some type of way, especially when it's not accurate. I felt that way about Uvalde. I felt that way about when I was talking about Black Lives Matter. I felt that way when I defend police officers that I know didn't do anything wrong, and the world is telling me I'm lying. And then the police officers get off on the case. And then nobody apologizes and say, Brandon, you were right. But I know what that pressure feel like. Now, I'm a little more mature. I'm a little older than he is. And I got older kids and stuff. So I've been through a lot more. And that's why it don't make me waver, because I don't give a about what you say about me. I really don't. And yeah, you make me mad sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's not going to change my position. I'm not going to get all upset about this where I want to not do this or not do this and that. I mean, the more y'all talk noise about Israel, the more I'm going to say something. And it's not I'm going to say something because I'm defiant against you. It's the more that I got to keep banging the truth out because you people want to be silly about it. And so I just disagree with that portion of what Charlie said and how he operated in that moment. But it was a private message. Now, mind you, if I die, I'm going to be mad at y'all. Y'all better not ever share my stuff when I die, because some of y'all going to have your feelings hurt. If you know the stuff that I say and that I wrestle with or I'm arguing about, or people that make me mad that I don't say publicly, because sometimes you can vent to your wife about things that people do that make you mad, that you don't want to be public because you're dealing with it in a private manner. I go to my wife and I complain about certain stuff, and then we talk about it and I feel better about it. There's some things that people do to me that make me mad. I'm not happy with everything everybody does, even organizations that I work with. I'm not always happy with the things they do and the way they treat me. But a lot of times I'm not going to say everything publicly because it's a private matter that you can address. And what I have learned as a young man, growing up and learning and growing, things change. A conversation can change the way you think about something. One conversation. And so you get out in the public and you go, I'm done with this. I no longer do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And then you have a conversation with somebody and you're like, you know what? That kind of makes sense. I'm not even mad no more. Now you got to get out in the public and go, all that I said yesterday, I was just mad. So when you have wisdom, you say, I got dirt on you. You said some stuff that was inappropriate to me. I got text messages on you, but why would I do that if it's not beneficial to anybody other than me getting back at you or doing gossip? I had to learn that. Thank God I didn't learn it. I didn't have to learn it while I was a social media influencer, but I had to learn it in life. So this is why stuff like this shouldn't even be public. But now that it is public, then we have to address these things. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on the text message that came out, the Charlie Kirk thing. And let me put this last part out here. I want y'all to understand this. It's not fair. Some people think it's not reasonable, but it's reality. Friendship runs deeper than politics. There are people that I disagree with that are my friends, and I love them more than I love politics. And I'd rather have a conversation with somebody who's my friend than to throw them under the bus in public and get all riled up and riled. But because when y'all done listening to me after I say something else you don't like, you will turn on me. My friend won't turn on me. When we done and we old and nobody care about what we talking about no more, your friend will be there for you. They will be there for your family. That's how Brandon Tatum is. I'm a loyal person. I'm going to be there for you and your family because our situation run deeper than politics. And the reason why is because some people want me to get out and bash certain people, and you don't really love me anyway. Because as soon as I say something you don't like, you unsubscribe. As soon as I say something that you don't agree with, I don't fool with Brandon no more. So why would I do something to make you happy when you ain't really got my back in real life? You got my back on social media when I'm saying what you like. I have been hurt by so many people that follow me on social media. But then people that don't follow me on social media that are my real friends have been behind the scenes supportive of me when y'all turned on me. So that's why when you say, why you don't call out so-and-so? Why you don't call out so-and-so? I call out the issue. I don't need to call out the person. Now, there are people that ain't my friends. Y'all know who they are because I call them out by name. That I don't care. There ain't no relationship. I can't vouch for their character. I can't vouch for who they are in reality outside of social media. I don't text them on the phone and have conversations. And that's why they get the full brunt of what I'm saying. All right, let's talk about Chicago real quick. This it's a dispatch communication between dispatch and law enforcement officers went viral. And I think I got to address this, right? Because people are upset, and I understand why. And I'm upset when I heard this, that apparently it seems like HPD or CPD decided to not support Border Patrol or ICE after they got attacked and they had somebody running. Now, the reason and the purpose of me doing this is because I want to give you perspective. I can't tell you who's right or wrong in this, to be honest, because I have been a police officer in situations like this before. And I'm going to break it down and tell you the nuance that most people, unless you're in law enforcement, you don't understand the nuance of interagency support and intra-agency support. And we'll get to that in a minute. But this is a video or a dispatch from the incident that happened the other day where a lunatic decided to run a ICE agent off the road in a truck, and then he took off running. It was this big thing. So matter of fact, Nick, let's show the video of what happened. Then we can show the 911 call so people can put this in perspective. And these people are crazy. They should have got out bussing, if you ask me. I would have got out shooting. You're going to run me off the road. You're trying to kill me. Okay, I can use deadly force to defend myself in the public because this person is clearly deranged. Watch what they do. Roll the clip. Okay. Not done with the horror music. But so you see what happened. That was an attempted murder, if you ask me. They tried to ram the police out and kill him and run him off the road and run him into a ditch and kill him. That's what happened. So then the person in the situation began to flee the scene. Now, here's the dispatch communication associated with that incident that you just see. Roll the clip.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger male Hispanic on foot wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And wanted for the hit and run, this guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing.
All right, pause it. I want you guys to understand this. This is what people don't understand about law enforcement. They're dispatching this, but they don't see the video, right? They don't know. They don't see that. And so when they say hit and run in the mind of a police officer, you think maybe they just hit they were drunk or something. They accidentally hit the car and they ran off, right? They don't see that the person intentionally rammed the vehicle and drove it all the way down the street and crashed it somewhere. That's not clear to a law enforcement officer. So you don't know what's happening. You only can go on your training and experience of things like this, but there's no alert tone. At least I don't know if they do that. There's no alert tone. So the dispatcher isn't saying this is an emergency situation. But watching what happened is actually an emergency situation. It was an attempted, a targeted attack. Roll it.
99.
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please.
Okay, 10-4, and for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
Time out. So supervisors just got on the air and told him respond rapidly, but hold off. And let me tell you what's happening right here. It has nothing to do with the CPD officers. They're just responding to an incident, and they're literally licking their chops because this is the most fun you're going to ever have on the police departments when you get to chase people. So everybody's driving there way too fast. They're trying to line up because they want to be the one to catch the guy running from the scene. I'm telling you what happened because I cannot confirm it or not. I was that guy. But when 999 gets on, 999 is a supervisor. And they are going to try to communicate with ICE to see what's going on here. Are you guys chasing a person who's a fleeing felon? Is this a hit and run of a drunk driver? Is this an assassination attempt? The supervisor needs to know what's going on before he put his officers in a position because they're not on the same frequency and they have no idea what's happening. So at this point, it's reasonable. Respond to the scene as soon as possible. Hold off because we need to know what's going on here before we get our officers killed. Roll the clip.
999.
999.
Put the chief of patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
62, we're going to clear out as soon as we can, Spot. We're like locked in over here, so we're going to do the best we can to get out of here as soon as we can.
All right, so let me explain what I think happened. When you have the chief that says, we're clearing out of there, listen to his demeanor. We're clearing out we're not going to do anything to this. This was a pissing match between somebody at the top at ICE and somebody at the top of CPD. I'm telling you. And a lot of times, federal agencies and local agencies don't really coordinate and get along together because they have separate rules of engagement than what municipalities have. And sometimes if the chief don't like what they say, they go, screw you, we're not helping you. So if CPD or they got into it where the director of ICE or somebody that the chief called and said, what's going on over there? Are you guys chasing? What's the probable cause? Is this a felon? Is it a felony case? What are you guys doing? And they can't give a chief any solid information. The chief is going to say, screw you. We don't want nothing to do with this. Because sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case, and I don't get mad at me. I'm giving you guys perspective from a law enforcement, and I have been a part of a few of these. What can happen sometimes is that federal agencies will do things that we cannot legally get away with doing. Meaning that if we pursue somebody according to our general orders and according to state law, we have to pursue people only with these circumstances. the federal government, U.S. Marshals, can pursue whatever they want to do. They don't need to know probable cause. They don't need to have a felony action. They don't need to do nothing. They can pursue these people. And what happens is they pursue somebody they shouldn't, that we would never pursue. We join in with no information. We end up using force against that person, and come to find out they weren't even stopped legally. And we have used force on a person that wasn't even legally stopped and that they didn't have any charges for. And now we're in a use of force situation and we get our sock suit off and police officers get arrested and charged. So that's why sometimes chiefs will say, no, we're not dealing with that. That's a federal jurisdiction. They should have sufficient amount of people. They should do their own chase and all of this. I'll give you an example. When I was in Tucson Police, Highway Patrol will pursue for anything. If you stopped and your registration expired and you drive off on a highway patrolman in the state of Arizona, they can pursue you, and they will pit maneuver you and flip your car over and you roll over and you die. That's their rules of engagement. That's on you. We cannot pursue people without felony involvement, and they have to be a physical felony crime against another person. We don't pursue through the city because there's liability. We pursue you through the city, you blow through a red light and you kill somebody, the department is going to get sued and the police officer is going to be scrutinized. So we don't F around with that. And when I was on duty, we had a highway patrolman pursue somebody through the city. And our chief said, we are not involved. Because when that car flip over and kill somebody, we don't want nothing to do with it. We had U.S. Marshals do a similar thing. They are running around chasing people through parking lots and doing all, and we have no idea why they're chasing these people. And we don't want our officers to get hurt, and we don't want them involved in something that could be illegal. Or not illegal, but it could be a legal question mark. Now, let me give you the other side of this, why this could be wrong. This could be political, where they don't want nothing to do with ICE. And they don't want their officers to get involved in that because they don't want the political scrutiny. Based on everything I heard from that call, it doesn't appear that way because they initially pursued and they initially were supportive. And then at some point they said, clear, we don't have nobody on the case. That means that they were supporting ICE and supporting it. And then somebody at the top said something that the other top didn't like. And they said, no, you're on your own, Jack. That's what I think happened. Now listen to the chief, because this will give you insight on potentially what the chief is saying. Because the chief is going to articulate very clearly that he is not opposed to what ICE does. But listen to him in his own words. Roll the clip.
We do not interfere with the duties and responsibilities of federal agents. We don't have to agree with it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to agree with it. We do not interfere with their orders. And when they go out to carry out their orders, they will do that the way that they're trained to do it and their understanding of what it is they have to do. Another one. CPD will not arrest and cannot arrest federal agents because someone deems what they're doing is illegal or unlawful. Their rules of engagement are different from CPD and other local law enforcement agents. We need to be clear about this. If we're not clear about this, we will see another event like we saw Saturday. We cannot move like this in this city. If we want to keep the peace in this city, we need to be smart about how we do things. And attacking law enforcement under any circumstances is not safe for anyone.
So if you listen to the chief, he's not against ICE. He's not against federal agencies. He said they're going to do what they got to do. We don't arrest them. We don't do nothing. We let them do what they got to do. And violence against them is wrong in every circumstance. But as you notice, he said our rules of engagement are different than their rules of engagement, which means that they can do stuff that municipal police cannot do. And you do not want to mix sauces. You will find yourself in a crazy lawsuit or you'll find your officers getting hurt. Another scenario that is matched with this, and this was a horrifying situation that happened, I think it was a federal agency, was going after a cartel member. And they asked the patrol officer to pull traffic and stop the person. Now, they didn't tell the patrol, and his family sued. They did not tell the patrol officer who this guy was. And so he goes to pull traffic like it's a normal person. The guy gets out with an AR-15, mows the officer down, stands over him and shoots him multiple times. The officer didn't know this was a serious cartel gang member that was violent and a murderer. And so this is why agencies don't mix, because they did not disclose to him the seriousness of that traffic stop. And he was not equipped to deal with a cartel member that had an AK-47 or AR-15, and that was literally facing life or death situation. And it was a sad situation that happened to his family. All right, let's go to Mark Sanchez. I want to talk about that real quick. Can we put the comments over here? Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, I don't see any of it. Mark Sanchez. Now, a quick story about Mark Sanchez that y'all may not know is that I played high school football with Mark Sanchez at the U.S. Army All-American game in 2005. He was our quarterback, and on the West team, I was the defensive back, and we beat the East 38-3 or something like that. So we spanked them. And Mark Sanchez was our quarterback, and he did a really good job at managing the game, and he's one of the reasons why we won, and Perilou did as well. But anyway, so I had that short connection with Mark Sanchez. I always followed his career because of that high school experience. He was always a cool guy. He was mature. You know, the guy had his stuff together, which is why he's still relevant today. However, that Bacardi can make you act naughty, okay? And when I first heard this, I said, how you get stabbed and get arrested? Now, as a cop, there's been plenty of people that have been stabbed that I've arrested, that have been shot that I've arrested, that had the femur sticking out. It was not the femur, but the shin bone broken in half, sticking out of the skin. And I had to write him a ticket at the hospital. It wasn't fun to do that, but I said, I'll show you the rest when they put that bone back in there. But you finna get this ticket because you were responsible for that accident that caused your bone to stick out your leg. But anyway, let's listen to the report of Mark Sanchez, because this had a crazy, crazy turn with what initially seemed like Mark Sanchez was a victim. He ended up becoming a suspect. Roll the clip.
A battery charge after a violent altercation with a 69-year-old truck driver.
Update this to person stabbed.
Video obtained by the New York Post appears to show Sanchez after the confrontation, bloody and stumbling, clutching his torso. And TMZ Sports releasing this photo, it says, shows Sanchez on a stretcher after the incident.
We are literally talking about people fighting over a parking space.
The truck driver, Perry Toll, was slashed and left with a gash in his face after Sanchez allegedly confronted him. Toll's lawyer says he feared for his life and stabbed Sanchez in self-defense. The 38-year-old Fox Sports analyst and former New York Jets quarterback is still receiving medical treatment, according to his family, who say in a new statement that he's focused on his recovery as the legal process continues. The altercation happened in the early morning hours on Saturday in downtown Indianapolis. According to a probable cause affidavit, video surveillance shows Sanchez approaching a truck parked in the loading dock of the Westin Hotel. He allegedly told the driver he couldn't park there. Toll was in the truck on his regular cooking oil delivery route. He told police Sanchez climbed into the truck and smelled of alcohol, and his speech was slurred.
According to my client, Mr. Sanchez instigated this altercation, and Mr. Toll at some point defended himself as best he could in the face of somebody who's obviously just objectively a much larger human being.
Surveillance video shows Sanchez throwing Toll towards a wall, according to the affidavit. Toll telling police he tried to defend himself with pepper spray and the knife. In an interview with NBC News, the county prosecutor says Sanchez was seen running in the alley before the confrontation took place.
Not sure why he was running that late at night.
The former NFL quarterback now facing multiple criminal charges and a civil lawsuit. Toll accuses Sanchez and his employer Fox Corporation of causing permanent disfigurement. He calls Sanchez's actions malicious.
We've reached out to all sides that are a part of this lawsuit, and we have yet to hear back, Craig. And Steph, as I understand it, this still might not be the end of the road when it comes to charges, right?
That's right. We spoke to the prosecutor in this case, and he tells NBC News that he is waiting on the toxicology report to see if there needs to be more charges. As for that felony battery charge, it carries a penalty of 1 to 6 years in prison, Craig.
Stephanie Gosforth there in Indianapolis. Steph, thank you.
Hey. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. Now, a lot of people were like, why did Mark Sanchez get stabbed and then he got arrested? When a cop arrests you after you've been stabbed, they have sufficient evidence and witness statements to suggest that you are the aggressor. What police officers will typically do, if they can't find out who's the aggressor, they will hold off charging anybody until they get to the investigation. But when they arrest you that quickly, it's because they have sufficient evidence. Now, his charges was battery with injury, unlawful entry of a vehicle, and public intoxication. Obviously, it was upgraded from a misdemeanor to a felony because of the seriousness of bodily injury. So normally when you assault somebody and you're not in a domestic relationship, which means that don't have a romantic relationship, or you're not dating, or you're not a family member, you can assault somebody and it's just a misdemeanor. And the person could say, I don't want to prosecute, and the cops want to arrest you. But when you cause substantial disfigurement, broken bones, anything like that, they raise it to a felony aggravated charge. And that's the reason why it moved from a misdemeanor to a felony. Now, he's innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, just so we all are clear. Officers are not perfect. What they do is they develop what we call probable cause. That means a reasonable person will believe that Mark Sanchez committed the crime. That does not mean that he's guilty 100%, because that's what trial is for. However, you better believe it. If you're a multimillionaire and you get into a confrontation with somebody, they're going to try to go for the money. This guy is suing Fox and Mark Sanchez. Fox didn't have nothing to do. They didn't have nothing to do with this. But when that money on the line, and I'm not saying he's wrong for it. I mean, if Mark Sanchez is the aggressor and he beat this old man up for no reason because he drunk on the sauce, then, hey, sue him for everything he got. That seems to be reasonable if Mark Sanchez did, in fact, assault this guy like this. But that's what they're going for. That's why people like me, Mark Sanchez, and others, if you're famous or you got money, you better have insurance, because somebody will try to sue you. That's why I try to avoid getting into physical confrontations with people. Sometimes they want to make you get in a physical confrontation with them so they can sue you for whooping their butt. Just like when I was on UC Davis. The only problem with UC Davis is that they were attacking us and I was defending myself. Now, I could have hit them with the hammer because I wanted to. Y'all have no idea. It was because of Charlie Kirk. The Antifa need to thank Charlie Kirk for that day, because I sized them up already. I said, I'm finna mop these dudes up, and these girls. I don't know what they girls or dudes. I say, I'm finna just start hitting them one-hitter quitters, because the little one on the bike that I pushed was a one-hitter quitter. Y'all see how she was flying on that bike? If I'd have hit her with that hammer, she would have been sleeping. And I would have had a sleeping bag for every single one of them Antifa members, because they were super weak and cowardice. They were whining and stuff. You can tell in their voice, they non-binary, estrogen levels are weird. They taking hormone blockers and stuff. So they all kind of messed up. And I could have swept them all under the rug. However, in the spirit of Charlie, I said, I ain't finna make Turning Point look bad. Big black man on campus beating up women and everything. That's what they would have had on the headline. But I knew that I could slap one of them and nothing was going to happen. And one reason it wasn't, because then you have to face the accused. So they would have to disclose their identity to be an actual victim in the case. And what does that mean when they disclose their identity? Now you can see that they were committing crimes on campus, and now their identity, so they can try to get me for that, but they still going to go to jail for the stuff that they did on campus. They still going to go to jail for assaulting people. They're going to go to jail for unruly gathering or riotous behavior or whatever the case they want to do it for. Weapons on campus. They would go to jail for all of that. Somebody in the comment section want me to get crazy. They said only cowards fight women. Listen, women, I would never hit a woman first. That would never be Brandon Tatum's thing. If you ever hit me, there's a good chance I'm going to hit you back. I don't care who you are. Well, I believe in equal rights and equal opportunity. Nick said it right. Equal rights. I'm not prejudiced. I'm not a bigot. I would never treat a woman unfairly. You hit me, I'm gonna give you that work. And let me tell you why. You think every woman can't fight? A woman pull a knife out and stab you. What you gonna do? You'll let her stab you? Oh, you're a woman. I'm sorry. I'll never see my kids again because you're a woman. No, girl, you better never hit me. Just like I would never hit Mike Tyson. Unless I want that smoke. If I had a daughter, I say you better not ever put your hands on a man. Unless you want that drama. Just like people in public. You see me in public. Unless you want that smoke, you better never come up to me and say nothing crazy to me. Or try to put your hands on me. Because I'm going to give you all I got. What's his name said? At the end of the day, I just want to know I gave it all I had. I gave it all I had. That's what I would do to you, okay? And thank y'all for the super chats. I really appreciate it. I got one more story I want to tell you guys about that I think is invaluable, and that's Don Lemon Juice or Lemon Head or Lemon Lime. Lemon Booty. Call him Lemon Booty. All right, Don Lemon Booty or whatever his name is, he's doing these interviews. And I don't know, maybe it's smart. Maybe it's smart for him to do the interviews. Smart to do the interviews to have drama so people like me are talking about it. Maybe he's winning. But every time he interviews somebody, I think that the responses that he think he's gonna get, they ain't what he was wanting. I'll tell you that. Roll the clip.
Do it the legal way.
But that's what they're doing, though.
That shit ugly. Then no, I don't feel great about that. I mean, don't hurt nobody. At the same time, get him out of here.
How do you feel about the ICE raids?
The who?
ICE raids.
Like
immigration.
I feel good about them.
Yeah, you want them to crack down?
More, yes.
You do?
Yes, been wanting it for years, all my life.
And what about them like roughing people up?
Nah, that shit crazy. Don't put your hands on nobody. That's crazy. Don't hurt nobody. Do it the legal way.
But that's what they're doing, though.
That shit ugly. Then no, I don't feel great about that. I mean, don't hurt nobody. At the same time, get them out of here. Get them all out of here. Please and thank you. Trump 4 more years for that.
Did you
just for that? Just
Did
for
you
that.
vote for him?
No, hell no. I can't vote. I lost my voting rights when I was 22 years old. I apologize.
You went away?
Yeah, for assault and battery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You said 4 more years for Trump?
Just because I want him to concentrate on nothing but immigration and getting them out of here. Just for that.
You don't think they
Nothing
contribute
else.
to the economy at all?
Of course they do. Of course they have. At the same time, think about the people who wasn't able to contribute because the immigrants was there. You know what I'm saying? The people who live here and who was born here, was raised here, who has the same skill set that they have, but wasn't able to do their job because they were there illegally to do it. Yeah. Now the people who's here legally, like me, I guess you, him, can't do that job because them people who are illegal are doing it, which is not cool for us.
But they're having trouble filling jobs. They can't find people to fill jobs.
Shit,
they're getting rid of so many people.
Okay, what kind of jobs are they?
All over in the service industry and farming.
Because it's like everybody got to reset. They're gonna reset themselves. That's all they gotta do. Reset themselves.
The farmers are complaining about it, that they want Trump to ease up a little bit because they thought they were just going to do the violent people. They need undocumented immigrants in order to get food to your table.
It's not true, bro. It's not true.
No, that is true.
It's not true.
You don't want to get facts.
There ain't no American born and raised here that won't do the job. They crazy as hell. I know lots of them in my projects. Trust and believe me.
Why aren't they doing it then?
Because they don't have the opportunity because it's not there. They ain't going down there just to get
there
rejected.
are people who can't keep their restaurants open because they're getting rid of their undocumented workers, and they're trying to get workers here that are American born, and they're not taking the jobs. They don't want those jobs.
Oh, they don't want them jobs. Okay, I don't know nothing about that, man. All I know is that I'll get a job. I'll take the job. I'll do like 15, like the Jamaicans. I have 15 different jobs. I'll do one of theirs.
I don't know if the gay stuff that made his head and messed his head up, that white man on his back and messed his head up, but I just don't understand the logic here. It's stupid to think that Americans don't want those jobs no more. Why don't you get illegal people? Why don't you get legal people to do it? I just don't understand this. Like, why don't you just get legal people, illegal immigrants? Why you got to go illegal? There's a bunch of legal immigrants that you can bring into the country. Well, the people that's sneaking over here, how about we have a program where if this was true, which is not true, We can get these people legalized and they can be over here working legally. Why do you think that you have to have illegal aliens? If they're here and they haven't committed a crime, then maybe the onus should be on the business owner to get them legal status. Right? What's happening is that they love for these people to be illegal because they can treat them any kind of way. They don't have to pay you a fair wage. They can give you money under the table. And you ain't going to say nothing because you're going to make money or you're going to be hungry. And the truth about working is that if for so long they've been waging out people with these low income jobs from illegal aliens, people don't go for those jobs anymore. They don't exist anymore. You think you're going to find construction work in Arizona and you ain't a Mexican? You crazy. I have never seen nobody but Mexicans do construction work in Arizona. California. It broke my heart. It angered me at the same time just a little bit. And it also revealed a few things which we can get to. Walking down downtown LA, I see people doing construction and I hear boom, 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 boom. You hear music and you see all these Mexicans up here. And then all on the street is homeless black people. I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's weird. All these Mexicans up here listening to mariachi music and nothing in English nowhere down the street. But you got all the black people that were slaves in this country that fought to have freedom and all this. And they the ones on the side hungry. Something ain't right here. Either they down there lazy or they letting these people take out the jobs. Therefore, they're unemployed, taking government assistance. Now, I'm not mad at the Mexicans. You want to work, you want to work. I ain't mad at you. But if it's deterring or not allowing American-born citizens to have jobs, then it's a problem. My whole premise to this is that if you're illegally in our country, you got to go. If there are people that can get their status fixed or whatever because there's technicalities, then let's deal with the technicalities and get them access that they need. But if you over here, you snuck through a fence, you did all that, man, go somewhere else. Go make Mexico great again. Y'all got people all over the world coming to our border to come in America. Well, if they just stay right in Mexico, can't they make that better? Since they're working and they're adding to the economy, they can add to the economy in Mexico. Nogales would love to have them. Sonora, Mexico would love to have them, right or wrong? That's like somebody saying, man, I'm hungry, bro. And we go, you can stop by McDonald's if you want to, Nick. Or you can stop by Burger King. You can stop by Flower Child, which is healthy. You can stop by there. No, you don't want to go there. You want to go to Steak 44. You know how silly that is? I'm hungry, man. I ain't got nothing to eat. And you're going to pass by McDonald's, Jack in the Crack, all these other places. You're going to stop by every place and then get to the door at Steak 44 and demand that you need to get in there and get a dry-aged ribeye, $98 ribeye. That is insane to me. Stop at the first place that's going to give you a job and opportunity. Now, let me give you a better restaurant. Y'all want to go to the Ends in Old Town Scottsdale. The Ends, E-N-D-S, Ends. Y'all know I'm giving that plug. My homeboy own that restaurant, and it's great. It's actually fire. If you go there and get them biscuits, tell them Brandon Tatum sent you. Them biscuits at the Ends is like, I have to pray. Like I say, God, help me, because they too good. It should be a sin. It should be illegal to have biscuits that good at a restaurant. I told him he needs to start a biscuit place where you put chicken in that biscuit. You put some steak in them biscuits. Somebody stop. Somebody help me. But anyway, all I'm saying is that you don't get the chance to come over in this country and experience the greatest place on planet Earth when you pass through all these other places that will give you at least a working living wage. And if it's not enough for you to have, so what? You're welcome to the world. Everybody can't fit in America. And don't bring your garbage over here. That's my whole thing about this illegal immigration stuff. Don't bring your stuff over here. You come over here, you become an American. You come over here, you learn English. Habla inglés. I don't want to hear none of that Spanish. I hate it when I pick up the phone and they go, Español, habla inglés, número uno. I'm like, I'm going to hang up. I'm finna hang up. I'm finna hang up. This is America. You speak English in America. If you came over here, you don't know English yet, learn it. I work with you. I know it'll take a little bit, but you need to be starting. Next time I go somewhere and I talk to you and you go, I ain't no say, no English. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm calling ICE. Next time I hear somebody say, I'm calling ICE on you. You've been over here way too long. You 60 years old and you've been in America this long and you don't know no English. You don't know how to say, please. Thank you, sir. Sir, I need work. I'm hungry. I need food. I want to work. I charge $10. You can't say that. Man, that dude came to my house to do them palm trees. And I'm going to get off here. He came up there. He couldn't speak. His son came. My daddy will do your trees. And I said, let me talk to him. I thought he'd at least tell me the price. I'm like, how much, man? How much you charge to do these trees? He smiled. Trees. I do all the trees. I say, how much are you charging before you jump on these trees? I said, come on, man, just tell your dad to come over here tomorrow and I'll give him whatever you want. And that Mexican jumped on that palm tree. We had 7 of them in the front yard. I saw him jump. He at the top. He jumped from the top of this palm tree. He swung and jumped on the next one. I said, this is why people hiring him. He jumped from the top to the next. You get an American, they don't bring their own water. They think you're supposed to feed them and everything. I'm like, I'm paying you for a service. He got to come down the tree, go get a water break, climb up the next tree, go down the tree. It took him 45 hours to do my trees. That Mexican jumped from this one to this one. He didn't come down. I say, man, your daddy gonna jump and fall out there. I'm not responsible if he die from jumping off this tree. He ain't even getting paid that much. It ain't no reason for you to jump from this one to this one. But he did it. And I was very proud of him. And I think I gave him $300. And I could not confirm or deny if it was cash. I'm just saying. Y'all know I'm joking. I mean, I'm not joking. That really happened. But don't get mad at me. Y'all should have came and did my trees then. Then don't be mad at the Mexican. But now, in all seriousness, I got to get up off here. But in all seriousness, we just need to tighten up our immigration. If you ain't here legally, you got to go home. You had 45 years to get that fixed, and you didn't do it. Just like I'm at the university. Don't come in the lecture hall, sit down, and start taking notes and think you get to come to the university when I had to pay all that money to get there. And you get to do it for free. And they give you a free scholarship. The devil is a lie. Anyway, let me get these super chats real quick and I'm going to get up out of here. How much time is that? How long have I been on this live?
102. 102, yeah. An hour and 2 minutes.
All right, I'm close. I'm close to being done. Okay. All right, thank y'all for the super chats. I appreciate every single one of y'all. I can't read all of them because I'm running out of time. My Charlie Kirk merch arrived today. Definitely love my 2 shirts. I ordered. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you too, man. We only do the best over here, just so y'all know. Pastor Barnett here. Candace Owens has created a space for delusional people who enjoy chasing nothing. She makes 0 sense at this point. Hey, I didn't. Super Chat said it. I didn't say it. Super Chat said it. I can't read them. But the chat read them. Y'all know y'all trying to get me. I can't. I'm trying to. Hey, I'm praying about it. All right. Don't be swayed by Jew haters in your comments. They hate Jews since the beginning of the time, way before Israel existed. It's never been about land. It's always been about hatred of Jews. I think it's spiritual, man. People that hate Jews, they all get loony. Do you know a person that hates Jews that ain't loony? That hate Jews that don't go down a rabbit hole and is off the cliff somewhere. They can't just disagree with Israel. It's got to go deeper and crazier. It starts out by saying, you know what? I don't think we should be giving Israel money. That's when I say, oh man, here they go. Here they go. They finna go and they give them a month. They're going to be saying they did 9/11 and they coin shaving. You give it a month. They're going to say they create AI. Tucker Carlson interviewed a guy that said Jews created AI to destroy the world. And he didn't push back or nothing. He took advantage of Ted Cruz without consent on his show. And he won't push back on somebody saying the Jews created AI to destroy the world. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I don't agree with Zionists. Do you know that Zionists and Jews are the same? That just means that I believe that Israel should have a state and they have a right to defend themselves, to have their own land. That's all Zionist is. So you saying you don't like Zionists is like saying I don't like Jews. That's all Zionism is. It's not a super conspiracy theory. It's like they believe that land belonged to the Jews and they believe they should be able to fight. They won the war. What are we talking about at this point? They can't win a war. They won 6 wars or something, or 5 wars. I don't know how many wars they won. Every time they won, I think they got a chance. I think they got an opportunity to say, it's our land now. We get to do what we want to do. We beat the natives, and they on the reservation right now, and y'all don't say nothing about that. Okay, let's give them their land back. Oh, I forgot. Okay, all right. I guess we don't speak in reality. Okay, sorry for saying this, but I was going to unfollow you for your comments on Seattle. Oh, this must be funny. There are good people still here. You're bringing it up made me think God wanted me to apologize. I'm obviously still here following you. Love you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody ain't Jesus and everybody ain't right. So I appreciate you saying, and I ain't always right. But you were going to unfollow me for my comments on Seattle? Because I was talking about when I was downtown Seattle and the energy at Seattle is crazy. Come on. I love you anyway. But don't ever unfollow somebody because you don't like what they say about your city. And you can't admit I've been to Seattle 100 times. My son used to live in Seattle. And every time I go there, it's spooky. I'm downtown and I can feel the energy of just soy and the devil and Ouija boards and all kind of stuff. That's what I feel when I go to Seattle. And people got blue hair and they weird and they're not friendly. And it's like, ugh. I want to get up out of here. When I go to Texas, I don't feel that way. When I went to Alabama, I didn't feel that way. It's like Seattle kind of weird. And how many churches in Seattle? I ain't never seen. I don't know of a prominent church in Seattle like this. That's national. It's like 3 of them, maybe. And Seattle's a big city, and that's because that city, man. Y'all good. Now, let's put this in perspective real quick, and I'm gonna get off here. East Seattle, just like California and everything, when you go east away from the water, it's the most conservative place you'll ever be. Safe, beautiful, conservative. When you start getting close to the water, I don't know if it's the salt or what, people could get crazier. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Oh, I need some food. You and Charlie were instrumental to me when I stopped believing the lie of the left, and I miss him dearly, but I watch you faithfully and won't stop. Hope to meet you one day. Keep up the good work. You're doing God's work. Thank you so much. And I will meet you one day. Just come to these events. I'll say what's up. Take a picture, whatever you like. All right. Love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47